Welcome to the Labour Force. I'm Bongeni Mutwa. Economists remain wary of placing Gauteng or the rest of the country back under hard lockdown amid the current escalation of the third wave of the coronavirus pandemic. Comments by President Cyril Ramaphosa recently that government is considering introducing stricter COVID-19 restrictions, especially here in Gauteng, have led to speculation that the country's economic hub may soon be placed under strict level 5 lockdown. But well-known economist Azar Jammine, who himself has contracted COVID in the last few days, says a hard lockdown is bad for the economy and will affect the poor most. Well, we had arranged to speak to the General Secretary of SAFTU, Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi, who I believe is on the line at the moment. Mr. Vavi, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Bongeni, and good afternoon to everybody watching and listening to your program.
Well, Mr. Vavi, I must say up front that we are eagerly awaiting the beginning of the briefing by the Gauteng Premier, David Makhura, which should get underway any moment from now. Of course, where we'll find out if indeed Gauteng is going to be placed under strict lockdown or back to a hard lockdown. Just your take quickly while we wait. Do you think maybe it's time that we especially Gauteng is placed back under hard lockdown?
Well, if you look at the numbers of people affected by the third wave, said to be 30% more than even the first and the second wave, then you have to appreciate that the government is in a tight corner. Government must make a very difficult balance between protecting the economy that was just recovering by a mere 1% in the first quarter of this year, as well as protecting the lives of ordinary people, and which are starting to die left, right, and center as the third wave is hitting both Gauteng and now the Western Cape. And before we know it, it will be all over the country as before. It started in one province, and Gauteng is basically, if there was an epicenter of the coronavirus, but also Gauteng is an epicenter of the South African economy. You touch one nerve in Gauteng, the whole country gets affected. And we must accept that you cannot, for example, isolate and insulate Gauteng and think that you have dealt with the problem across the country. So from the perspective of SAFTU, we will not object if government was to move the country up to level 4 or even 5, if in their calculation as recommended by the scientists, that's the only way to get a proper balance between saving lives and saving the economy.
But what about the argument that we've been there before? Last year, we saw what happened. The economy got devastated. People lost their livelihoods. A lot of people fell into hunger and starvation. And that did not stop deaths as a result of COVID or infections. So what do you make of that argument that's coming through from some of the economists, even from Azar Jammine, who himself, as we speak, is lying at home in his bed down with COVID?
You can't dismiss that argument at all. But let's look at the facts as well. Just imagine if government have decided that the economy is much more important than the lives of people, that even the small steps to try curb the spread of the violence of the coronavirus mustn't be implemented because we fear that we may lose more jobs as a result of the lockdown. And that I think that is down to what is the correct balance. Is the correct balance doing nothing because we lose thousands? Look, last year we lost 1.4 million jobs as a result of the coronavirus. And what is more important? Should we have lost 1.4 million lives instead? It's a difficult discussion, and I don't want to be in the shoes of the government at all. when it is contemplating on taking a decision that is going to strike a proper balance between those two extremes.
Well, Mr. Vavi, I thank you very much for taking your time. I am told by my director that Mr. David Makura, the Premier of Gauteng, is standing by now and is about to begin the much anticipated